Oh, the vibe is strong in you guys. It's right here, mate. It's right here. There we go. Big glass of vodka. I wasn't drunk last night, you know that. I literally was not drunk. I had not drunk any. He said I was too drunk last night in Bratislava, but I actually didn't have anything to drink. I'm just really good at pretending that I'm drunk.
Okay, Mike already introduced himself. I think so. Alex, if you want to say 1, 2 words, what you do?
So I work for Vice in London. I look after sort of music stuff, and yeah, I sort of worked on this film, co-directed it with Mike, and produced it.
Okay, I prepared some questions, but as I said before, what I just wanted to do is, if you have any questions, my colleague Kazun has them, I just make a sign and you can ask it. How many times have you seen the movie now?
Right? You haven't watched it? Was that the first time?
That was the first time, yeah. No, I mean, as with anything either of us has ever made, you know, you watch it like absolutely millions of times, really, because you're making the thing. And but I've only seen it, yeah, like in its entirety, like twice. You know, I mean, I always, as soon as something's done, I don't tend to go back to it really.
Is there a scene in the film where you always think, okay, fuck, I should have asked this question?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I mean, there was, we were sort of learning on our feet, you know, because even though we sort of knew of each other for quite a long time, he knows quite a lot of people that I know. Really just the whole Vice thing. Yes, so the first one with, it's pretty much chronological order almost, isn't it? Yeah. So we literally got off the plane and did the Tamir, the damn guy, at the start, and I definitely could have done that better. I think it was quite polite. But I was literally, I just got off the plane and it was like trying to work out really what I was there for, and I think really what you're there for, well, is obviously to ask the right questions, and then really to just get out of the way and don't go on about how drunk you weren't last night.
How long have you prepared for the whole, not just you, but the whole team?
All his life.
Yeah, not that long. It was the one story, the Ben Blackwell story, who's the Hebrew Israelite, the third part. That's like a story that I knew about for a while, and I'd sort of been following him and just really wanted to make that at some point. So originally the plan was just to go and make that, and then it was only quite soon. It was only like less than a month before we went that we were suddenly like, you know what, maybe we can try and cram it and make something longer. We still didn't know when we went out that it would be like over an hour. We thought it would be maybe half that. But yeah, it all came together really quickly. We were suddenly like, maybe there's some other stories, and then obviously with this kind of subject, you really have to try and be as balanced as possible. So then we're like, well, we can't do Tamer unless you find someone, you know, kind of similar from the other side, and then hang on, if we're going to do 6 parts, we've got to make sure there's 2, you know, there's 2 Jews and there's 2 Palestinians, and then maybe there's 2 others. But yeah, it happened really quickly, is the answer.
But, I mean, in seriousness, Alex was amazing because he has sort of been preparing for it his whole life. I saw because he you know, just all the different elements of it are all things that have been sort of running around his mind for a long time. You know, the music side, the political side, and so it was incredible to have that.
You said before you will be there like 6 days, 1 day per episode. You came there. Did any of your views change in the process? that? Or?
Well, I had very, I guess, lefty sort of BBC opinions, and I don't now. I feel like when I came away from it, I felt like I knew a lot less than when I got there.
Yeah, I don't think they change so much. I think you just go through spells where you're chatting to people and it feels, you can feel some real hope because you're just like, well, these are just, you know, people who want all the same things that we want and hate the fact that they're stuck in this situation. But then also you have times where you feel really hopeless because you just think, well, how are they going to get out of this? You know, like, I think like, I think it's Saz, one of the Palestinian guys, when he was talking about the occupation, but not that occupation, just like the mental occupation. I think that really was quite powerful. He was quite like funny guy, was sort of like, you know, not really being too serious, but I think that was definitely quite impactful because it just made me think like, I don't know, it feels like if, you know, say you've, I don't know, had an argument with someone and you're like going out and you're trying to like have fun, but like at the back of your mind you sort of feel a bit shitty about something. It's almost like everybody has that at the back of their mind all the time. Just like this nagging thing that's like, I wish this wasn't here and we could just hang out like normal people.
When I watched the movie for the first time, I thought, okay, where are these things that hit people normally? The issues that people normally address, like where are the drugs, where's the sexism, where's all these things?
Yeah, I didn't have many drugs,
yeah.
Fortunately.
Yeah. But is it possible, you talked about that, but is it possible to do like non-political rap in?
No. I mean, and I think actually, I don't quite know how to describe it, but like, I mean, it's just a big elephant in the room, I think by not sort of setting out your stall and telling people what you think, where you stand, I think you just look a bit spineless. But I think we think of politics for us is separate from life. It's like we've got like, you know, going out, got girls, we've got you know, culture, and there's politics, you know. Whereas really, when politics, obviously, I mean, if you're in Gaza, politics is life itself. It's not, there's no separation at all. So I think that's the difference, is that they're not even political, it's just life. And it's a difference, it's like where politics sits in society, and over there it is society. For us, it's kind of not.
Point is, we're talking about things who are different when you come to things, but there are also things that I think there are also things that are similar. If you can take a look back at your career and where you started, do you see things that are similar?
Yeah, I mean, all musicians have really quite similar lives, I think. I think I have more, like some of the like really like, I know, like the grime MCs I know, I think in a way they have like more in common with like a guy in an indie band than maybe they do of other people in their social background, because ultimately they're just trying to make a song that people like, and I think that's the same, you know, I think we do tend to dress the music up differently and have a different style and message, but it is, it's all just trying to do the same thing, really.
The Israel-Palestinian conflict is a very much discussed issue on the internet. What was your reactions?
What, on YouTube?
Did you have to?
There was some really profound.
Get in fight with trolls.
Yeah, there was some really profound stuff. Normally, first comment, "fuck Israel," Second one, no, fuck Palestine. And yeah, similar stuff. It wasn't as bad as we thought, I don't think. I think, you know, probably like we tried to caveat in the intro voiceover, that you sort of worried that everyone's going to say you're biased, and you're kind of wondering which side, not that it's so easy to categorise as just two sides, but you're wondering like what people think is sways one way or the other. But I don't think it was too bad. I think we had quite a lot of people saying nice stuff about it, and the people that were just having arguments, that's probably what they do all day. They probably just click on any video that has anything to do with the conflict and try and find somebody to argue with. But there was obviously people like, oh, I should have it on my phone somewhere, but there's definitely people who thought it was some sort of evil propaganda. We were, yeah, Zionist media, we were being paid by somebody, I'm not sure exactly who, but yeah.
Have you been paid that?
Yeah, quite handsomely. So.
Yeah, I mean, I was a bit scared, you know, which is a good thing, I think. But yeah, I definitely thought that we were going to get a lot of, and there are really strong opinions, but for some reason it did feel like we got that bit right. I think because. The really polarised opinions are so polarised that they sort of they don't really. I guess you just really feel like there's nothing you're going to do to change those really polarised opinions. But no, I was really concerned that we got that right.
We were talking about the different mindsets from people who grew up in Israel and Palestine and people from the rest of the world. Did you have the feeling that you could communicate with every one of them, or was there a situation where it's like, hey, they were sitting there thinking nothing like me?
Yeah, I mean, probably like Subliminal, before we filmed anything, Subliminal would have been the guy that I was like, okay, I'm not going to agree with this guy, because he's sort of the opposite of probably what the people I know. But no, I mean, this is why I say I sort of came away knowing less, really, because I felt like he kind of had a point at times, you know. I mean, his argument is that they're surrounded by people that want to kill them, and there's quite a lot of evidence to back that up, you know. I mean, for whatever reason, that's the situation. He's right, you know, about the fact that you know, if they moved the West Bank, then the people that are trying to kill them would be closer to them, and the evidence backs that up. So I think, yeah, the more that you think about it, the more confusing it becomes.
Yeah, I mean, I think you know, everyone wanted to talk, and I think generally we're really good at talking. You know, they kind of well informed, and they sort of speak well, and they want to talk. And I think, yeah, obviously we mentioned Subliminal, and you know, maybe a lazy way of saying it, but his kind of counterpart on the other side, which was the first part, Tamer. Those were probably the two where you would say like they're the most extreme opinions, but both of those two and everyone in the film, like nobody was just completely from one side. Everyone said something a bit conciliatory. You know, I don't necessarily remember the exact quotes, but you know, like Subliminal was like, you know, I hate that people that go around saying, you know, let's kill all the Arabs or whatever. You know, he's like, I hate that. And Tamer was the same. He's like, I'm not looking for justice for Palestinians. There's justice full stop for everyone. So yeah, even though, you know, I'm not gonna lie, of course there were some bits, especially in Subliminal's one, that maybe didn't make the cut, that at the time we were a bit kind of like, whoa, that's quite out there.
That was the language.
Yeah, maybe. But I think generally, yeah, I don't think we got into any situations where we were like, oh, this is a complete nutcase.
Is there a situation where you think, okay, point, where you think, okay, music is bringing people together, or was it like a divided music scene reflecting a divided country?
Well, I mean, yeah, until I DJ'd at the big fake Vice party that he put on, it was great. You know, it was all the different MCs were doing their thing. Saz came on with the Kafir, and then I DJ'd and there was a big fight. So I think the lesson is don't let in people from outside to play aggressive grime music.
But it's probably worth pointing out that I'm pretty sure that fight was, you know, about a girl or something. It was nothing to do with, you know, what we're talking about. And yeah, that showcase we went to had all sorts of, you know, the ultra-orthodox guy played at that, and Saz came on with his coffee, and there was a bunch of other people. And we thought it was kind of interesting that he came on with that, but I don't think anyone in the venue batted an eye, but they didn't think it was strange. Most young people in Tel Aviv don't give a shit, you know, they're there to watch the music and have fun, they don't care what encouraging you on.
So, are there any questions in the audience?
I got the Vice guy. Who are you two? I'm sorry, I popped in the middle of the movie.
Me?
Yeah, you and the guy with the cat. I'm sorry.
Well, they're both.
No, I got the Vice guy here in London. The Vice guy from London. I got him, but who
My name is Mike Skinner. I was in the film.
Yeah, I got that.
Yeah.
I got
Yeah. They're both Vice guys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm surrounded.
Should have introduced myself.
Yes.
My name is Jonas, I'm the editor-in-chief of Noisy in Austria.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Austria, yeah. And I used to make tunes as well. It was kind of alright, you know, fair to middle. Yeah, no, it's cool.
A couple of people that listen to music.
I know you do. He really likes my music.
Absolutely.
It was kind of, I used to sort of talk over rhythms. That literally is what I did for 5 albums, non-stop.
Okay. Yeah, you should listen to some. Yeah, Mike's like one of the most important sort of British musicians of my generation, and I'm not just sort of saying that, you know, because he's here. So yeah, definitely worth checking out.
And why did you stop?
Come on.
You drunk?
I'm drunk.
A bit.
Well, at least you've got a party going now.
No, but who are you? Mike.
Yeah, well,
Come to the party.
it's on the internet. What's it?
You can bring some vodka up there and then.
It's good vodka, yeah.
But who? Seriously, who?
Let's continue this conversation after.
Another question.
Question over there.
Congratulations to Mike and Alex for the film. It is a very interesting film.
Yeah, thank you.
We saw a lot of women on the streets and in the crowd of the film. Have you been talking to any women? Are there any women on the stage? And what is the role of women in this whole situation?
Good question. Wasn't expecting that one. Well, one thing I would say, when we were looking for, you know, make sure we had all the sides covered, there's a really great, I guess Palestinian, I guess she identifies as Palestinian MC called Shadia Mansour, but she's actually kind of based in London, or sometimes lives in New York, and even though she's very much like proud sort of representing Palestine, she doesn't actually live there, and we were kind of talking to her and being like, could you be there at that time? And then it just didn't feel like an organic thing to do. You know, we wanted to sort of check out the scene there, and it seemed weird to try and fly someone in to do that. Otherwise, yeah, it's weird. I don't think it's for any kind of particular reason, but we were, obviously once we started researching it, there was a lot of people saying, oh, please do us, or you've got to do this guy, you can't do a film without doing this person. But there wasn't a lot of females. There is one relatively kind of well-known, but she was not really a rapper, she kind of raps, but it's not, didn't really feel like part of the hip-hop scene, she's more just an alternative musician. But happy to be proved wrong if you know some good female MCs from the area.
Last questions?
I would like to know, like, you were there for 6 days, right? So was it enough, like 1 day per artist to talk to them and like get into it?
Yeah, I mean, I think if we'd have spent any more time with the artists, I don't think we would have necessarily achieved anything more. I mean, my liver could have done with a bit of a break after about the third day. I mean, I think the thing that we I think that one of the things I think that doesn't come across in this is I've always found that whenever you go to like the centre of something that's really happening, that there's a humour to people, and people that aren't as they don't tread as carefully as outsiders, you know, in any situation. I mean, yeah, I've always found that, and I think in the end I think including the really funny moments, which I felt were sometimes more revealing than the more straightforward stuff. I think it didn't seem to work somehow, and we didn't want to make a comedy. You know, I mean, it's just wrong, isn't it, to sort of seem like you're laughing about it. But I think whenever there is a sort of like a gallows humour to whenever I've sort of been in a situation that maybe people on the outside think's quite a deep thing. So I think, yeah, I think that it's important to remember that it was a really there was a lot of laughing happening. Not even just on our side. It's way more complicated and nuanced and funny and everything all wrapped into one than 1 hour can really make out, you know, because you have to really just choose one angle in the time that we had.
Just a quick sort of boring one to add is like that's not normal, you know, if you're sort of documentary filmmaking to make a sort of 64-minute piece or whatever in 6 days is not normal. You would normally spend a lot longer, and we didn't expect to make it that long. You know, we went out thinking we'll make something maybe 20-25 minutes, but I think we just got really attached to the people, and once you start to get attached to their story and you want to get it out there, you don't want to then have to cut it down to like 1 minute or one soundbite. So yeah, it just kind of ended up that long.
You said earlier that Tramer and Subliminal were the most extreme in their messages. Were they the most extreme that you filmed, or the most extreme that are out there or are missing?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I probably shouldn't have said extreme, but I think everyone knows what I mean. I mean, you could argue maybe Ohad is not necessarily antagonistic, that's the ultra-orthodox guy, but you could consider that extreme because it's unusual, I guess, the sort of redemption and, you know, the Messiah is his sort of main message. But I think those are the two, if we're calling it most extreme out of pretty well-known have a good sort of following. There was only one other guy who was sort of Subliminal's right-hand man in the early days, who you probably should check out. He's quite a piece of work. They used to hang out, and Subliminal was kind of like, yeah, he basically was like a thug. And they kind of separated because Subliminal, believe it or not, was the much more moderate one. He's the kind of calm one, and this guy's like a serious, extremely right-wing guy who just sort of goes to peace rallies and starts like attacking, Israelis who support peace. So there is him, but surprisingly he doesn't want to talk to any outlets because he thinks they portray a bad impression of him. I don't know why that would be.
Is there any questions? What's left?
Well, again, maybe I just popped in the middle of the movie. I'm sorry, maybe you explained it before, but why did you choose Israel and Palestine? I mean, there are a lot of other interesting places around the world.
Sure.
Countries like about hip hop. I mean, it's interesting place, but there's like.
Yeah, I mean that's a really good question because another thing that I've been saying is, or trying to describe, was the balance that we constantly had to find between telling a youth news story or opinion piece, interest piece, and representing a music channel and being from a music background and constantly, particularly in deciding who to speak to, it's like Tamir. You can't argue that Tamir isn't the most important rapper, and he sort of appeal. He sort of does everything we were trying to do. But some of the others, you have to make a decision where are you trying to find out more about the culture, or is it all about music? And there was a constant tension between those two things. And I think on the whole, I feel quite proud that it feels like we got it. We went down the middle with it and were quite successful. But in answer to your question about why I do it in Israel, Palestine, I've been listening. Everywhere I've been in the world, I've listened to domestic hip hop, and none of it is as charged as Israel Palestine is. But you have to choose somewhere, don't you?
Yeah, true.
I think it's also very interesting, besides the whole political aspect, you see people that are trying to develop a voice in Hebrew and like without the legacy, like you told in movies like German hip hop 25 years ago, or British hip hop, or also 25 or 30 years ago. Yeah, I think it's very interesting.
Have you had the opportunity to shoot even with the film in Israel as well? And if so, what were the local reactions?
There was talk of us taking it over there in a few months, but that's ongoing. Yeah, we would. If you go online, the only one I think who's said anything, I don't know whether you remember, but there was a bit in the film where we were talking about Kendrick Lamar, and he was saying he didn't agree with what a lot of rappers were saying, and I thought he might talk about like Lil Wayne or Birdman or something, but he was like he didn't agree with Kendrick Marne. And that was surprising to me because actually, if I was to think of like the most conscious, positive guy out there at the moment, probably Kendrick would be certainly up there.
So the guy who most people can agree on.
Yeah, so that bit was, I didn't really understand what was happening when he said that, and I still don't. But what doesn't he agree with?
Well, no, I think it's just because a lot of the stuff that we would consider like whatever ignorant rap, he just wouldn't go near anyway, because I don't think he's interested in that sort of music, regardless of the message. It's just kind of thuggy sound or whatever that he wouldn't be interested. But because Kendrick is a bit, you know, he's into his more like old school. I think it's got enough like art in it that he'd be interested. But Kendrick does swear, and he does talk about women. Not obviously nowhere near as much as all the others, but there is stuff in there that if you love that record or any of his records and you went through it, there would be bits that we don't think of because it's way less than most. Yeah. But there would be stuff that, you know, were, you know, swimming pools or whatever, you know. It'd probably be like, well, shouldn't fill the swimming pool with liquor.
We're going to be all right. Like literally, Shell's Visions, doesn't it? It's like the most positive rap tune out there right now. Yeah. No, I don't. Yeah, but anyway, he went online, and so he was really the only guy. The point is he was the only guy who said anything like he felt like he wasn't represented properly. So yeah, I'm quite happy to go out there and face up to Ohad's venomous file.
And I mean, it's on the internet, so now, so you know, they have seen it, the people who were involved, and a bunch of people out there. We haven't had any negative feedback. Touch wood.
Any questions? They're all answered.
Thanks, everyone.
I thought they were really, really good questions. Thank you. I mean that. Better than any other questions we've had.
The best one was who the hell is this guy? That was the best one.